G'day there, it's Monday, 13th of September 2021, doing a few things in the garden, and some people wanted to look at my EC or ppm levels and the pH and how I manage these things. I've been away for a week and I've come back, and so it's probably been 9 days since I've checked the pH and the EC, which ordinarily I wouldn't do. I'd check them kind of every day or every second day. So I'm going to run through each system and show you what the ppm EC is and the pH and how I adjust that and how I measure that, and we'll have a look. Alright, just hang around. Okay, now on my strawberries, I'm running them at around about EC of 2.4. Some people would tell me that they don't need an EC that high. They can, 1.3 or 1.4, 1.6. But the plants look good, and I found lower pH, lower EC or ppm. They didn't really look like they were growing that well, so I upped it. Maybe it's just this cultivar, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm running it at. Thank you. So one thing I am doing here is taking out some flowers. So apparently if you thin out some flowers so you have less flowers, you will get bigger fruit. So you can see here all these little flowers. I haven't sorted them out yet, but over here I've only got two, and that sort of thing. I'm thinning them out and we'll see how they go. Less rather than having like, little bunches of them smaller, we'll go for bigger ones. We'll see how that works. See, I'll cut all these little side ones off. There's an aphid there, look at that. Where is he? Middle of the thing, aphid. Okay, first system is we'll have a look at this strawberry flood and drain. The reservoir is under here, and we'll just check the pH and the EC. So to measure this, I'm using a Blue Lab truncheon. It has CF, EC and 2 ppm scales on it, so I'll give you the figures. So this system now has been like 9 days since I checked it because I went away for the last week. So let's have a look. And you can see the blue light is lighting up down here. So it's at an EC of 3.2 or a ppm on the 500 scale of 1600 or 2240 on the 700 scale. So that's way too high. But what I'll do is I'll take a bucket of nutrients out of here and I'll put it in a different system, and I'll add a bucket of water, and then I'll bring it back to the ballpark figure. Okay, now we've got an EC of 2.4. On the ppm 500 scale it is 1200. On the 700 scale it is 1820. And that'll do. Now we'll check the pH. So this middle, we can see that's kind of in the yellow to slightly green zone, which is between 6 and 6.5. That'll be fine. I don't need to adjust that. Okay, so I've taken a water sample, I've added 2 drops of the indicator dye, and that's the result, between 6 and 6.5, which is perfect. Everything I planted a week ago in the pipe system, the lettuces and the sweet basil and the baby coriander is looking pretty good. Plenty of roots, everything's happy. Sweet basil, lettuces. So that's a week's growth and good. And over here the zucchinis, 2 zucchinis there, cucumbers, and the cantaloupe rock melon are doing fine. That little one that only had one leaf didn't make it, but all the rest of it. So and the tomatoes are kicking, and the broccoli, I was away for a week and my wife didn't get them all eaten, so how many broccoli can you eat in a week? So they're sort of a bit overblown now, but we should still be able to eat them. Onions, ball carrots and radishes doing pretty good. Been away for a week. Come back, hey, someone's been nibbling there. Some caterpillars, I'd say, it's caterpillar season. Anyway, radishes are ready to eat. Carrots, I'm going to wait for another 3 weeks. Starting to break the surface here though. There, so cool, they'll be forming up nicely. Onions are looking good. Flood and drain, baby. Tomatoes growing up. There's some suckers that have formed. I'm going to take these off and propagate from them. Propagate some more plants. Might give them away, I think. Be ready in about 2 weeks if anyone wants some of these heirloom tomatoes, and they're in Perth. See, these guys are, actually these are side florets. We already picked the main one out of here, but we didn't get them all eaten. Chili seeds. There's a Carolina Reaper there. It's looking pretty good, ready to go out, I think, into the garden. The okra I've put on a couple of sets of leaves, so that's good. So all the chilies, and so the Trinidad Scorpions and Carolina Reaper. I only really want to grow Carolina Reaper this year, so I can keep the seeds, keep the strain pure. So I'm going to go Carolina Reaper. There's one there and one there, that'll do me. And the rest of them I'll give them away. Trinidad Scorpion Bush Tea. .8, that'll be okay for this. These guys seem to like it pretty high. You can see. I had some caterpillars in here which have had a little feast while I've been away. So pH still a little high, I would say towards the 7, so I'll add a little bit of pH down to that. Just a little bit, a couple of mils, 3 or 4 mils, and we'll test it again later. Okay, so for this system with the tomatoes and celery and broccoli in it, soon to have some chilies, I'll test this EC and the pH. Take a water sample. Again, I'd say we're probably in 6.5 to 7, so slightly high. I'll put a little bit of pH down in that one. Let's check that. You see in this empty bucket, so it's jumping. Jumping between 1.4 to 1.6, so it's a little bit light. About 800, 700, 800 on the 500 scale, and it's a little bit light. And for this system, which has the pipe garden and also these rock melon and cucumber and zucchini in it, I'll just check the EC here. What is this here? Trying to see. Oh yeah. 2.2. So 1100 on the 500 scale and 1540 on the 700 ppm scale. That's perfect. And we're in the yellow zone, which will be around about 6, which is great. So you can see 2.2, 1100 on the 500 ppm scale, and 1540 on the 700 ppm scale. Now on the flood and drain system, again we'll check the EC and the pH. Now you can see there's a bit of debris in there. That's from leaves and dust and stuff blowing around. What I'll do is when I change the nutrients out at 2 to 3 weeks, I'll clean all that out. So we can see it's 1.6 to 1.8 EC, or 800 to 900 on the 500 ppm scale, or 1260 to 1400 on the 700 ppm scale. Somewhere in between, so it's probably on the, you know, like if you were going to measure EC, you'd probably say, oh, it's settling down at 1.6 now, which is fine for these root crops. Two drops of indicator dye, and you can see again we're in the yellow zone. Is that focused? We're in the yellow zone, so around 6. So that's fine. That'll be fine. Okay, now these ones which I've adjusted, by adding a little bit of pH down, which is phosphoric acid. So that's come down slightly. We're around about 6.5, which will be fine for these plants. And this is the tomato and broccoli garden. Two drops of indicator dye. Give it a shake. And we're looking at, again, around about 6.5. So that'll be fine. So that's a little bit of a show on what happens to your hydroponic system when you go away for a week hiking and everything gets a little bit out of whack. But the plants, I mean, they'll be okay. Just correct them slowly. I don't see any deficiencies from high pHs, so I'm really looking at trends. If the pH is rising, then you know, a little bit of acid. If it's within the ballpark figure, that'll be fine. You know, close. It just needs to be close. It doesn't need to be dead on. You know. When you're looking at deficiencies, if you start seeing a deficiency, you know, then you're, you know, things are way out of whack. Anyway, I hope that helps some people. And off he goes.